Yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, we got some big news today, didn't we? 9 games
Oh
in
God.
conference. Yeah.
9 conference games, and it's just like, good grief. Like, wow. Oh man, it's like, I know, like, Auburn, Tennessee's obviously are annual opponents, and they're gonna have LSU as their annual opponent. Like, me personally, I don't care, but you might feel differently about it. That's okay. But I don't know, it just kind of feels like the 9 game conference schedule that's gonna, like, kill the big non-con games. It's gonna kill it off in a way.
Oh yeah, who do you put in there? We know we're going. You want to keep the third. Saturday in October, and of course you want to keep the biggest rivalry you got in the in-state is Auburn. But who do you slip in as that third team? LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. Who are those?
Mississippi State or Ole Miss.
I mean, you got to kind of make it light on yourself. I'd go after a little lighter team. I guess you're gonna have to have three teams. All teams are gonna get, I reckon, three teams to try to keep the rivalries going. So I mean, I don't know if you drop LSU, you slip Georgia in instead of LSU. A lot of people say they want to play Georgia every year. Well, that's kind of we played Tennessee for years. We played Auburn for years. I don't know. I guess we'll see come 2026. I guess when if we're still here. But I would say my three picks would be, of course, Tennessee and Auburn. I guess you'd probably have to keep the LSU game since it's been so historic down at Baton Rouge, and at nighttime, and we played so many epic games. Who would you slip in there? Who would be your three? Who would it be?
Thought about it. I guess I could just have Mississippi State as that third opponent, honestly, because we got a little more history with them than LSU, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about that, and Alabama said they might not keep LSU.
I guess you've seen that the SEC is moving to 9 conference games.
Yep.
What's your thoughts about that? I like it personally.
I'm not too crazy about it, but because it's just gonna get rid of the bigger non-con games. But that's just me.
But
But
you got to still play one non-conference Power Four opponent every year.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, because I saw that from Greg Sankey where SEC teams have to play at least one Power Four team, be it from the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, or Notre Dame.
Right. I think it's good for the sport that they're doing this. I think it's nice that, as fans, you get to see everyone else every 2 years and then everyone home and away within a 4 year period. And, you still keep your Auburn, Alabama, your Tennessee, Alabama matchups going forward. I just wish the three is a flat three, which means if you're Mississippi State, who doesn't have three rivals, you're going to have three rivals. And I wish there was a flexing model to it, to where you play two and then rotate the other seven or something like that, or 1 and 8 or 0. Because some teams have none, some teams have one, some teams have two. It's similar to what the Big Ten does.
Yeah, I think they'll just do what the Big Ten's doing, like you say. Like kind of like how Iowa has Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Nebraska on their schedule annually, and Ohio State's like, we just want to play Michigan every year. We don't care about anybody else. Indiana plays Purdue every year, and the rest they don't care. Illinois, Northwestern, they play each other every year, or like USC, UCLA, they just play each other every year. I don't think USC really cares about having Oregon and Washington on an annual basis. So I think it ought to be something like that with the SEC, because I mean, like, Alabama should be able to play Auburn, Tennessee every year. Just kind of have that third SEC team be whatever, like Mississippi State. That way you got an easy one every year.
Right. I
And
don't know if they're
our
balancing for performance or geography, or what they're balancing it for some of them, because if you're Auburn, you're basically screwed because you're going to have to play probably Georgia, Alabama, and then Tennessee. I'm guessing that's probably going to be their 3. That's tough for them. But, sorry.
I think that third opponent should be Florida for Auburn.
Yeah, Florida could work. It depends also on every other team because you mess with one, you mess with, there's a butterfly effect that goes into it. But some of these games are just going to be underwhelming. Like, who's Missouri going to play? Who's Kentucky going to play? Who's well, some of these teams just have nobody. Like, literally nobody. So it's going to be interesting. I saw it.
I wonder what they're going to do for South Carolina because, I know Georgia should be their annual opponent, but other than that, I really don't care, honestly.
Right.
Just be like, just have whoever you want.
Right. I know, Jackson. I did some research. I went forward into the future. 2030 for Georgia. They play Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia Tech currently in non-conference play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and we got our buddy Sean Garner joining us. Absolutely, you can join. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Well, I'm
Hello,
doing
Sean.
fantastic. Can you give me just 1 second here? Hold on.
There we go. Long time no see.
Yeah. So, Jackson, how do you think Georgia would do? Do you think they're going to drop in Ohio State or Clemson in 2030? Because for them playing both of them and an SEC schedule, my gosh, they could go 8-4, and they probably will be in the playoffs.
How do you keep that schedule? That's just ridiculous. And who knows? That might be a year they draw Alabama, LSU, and I don't know. They might have a brutal. They have no control over their conference schedule, so who knows how that's going to be? It could be like Oklahoma's schedule last year.
Yeah, and this year, everybody plays the same schedule in the SEC this year, which I hate that.
Where's that?
Everyone in the SEC plays the exact same schedule as they did last year. It's just flipped home and away. So you still don't see anybody different. It's like the SEC was for the last 15 or 20 years, except worse. It's just infinitely worse what they've did these last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, especially because there can be like just a massive discrepancy. Like Texas has a super easy conference schedule. Oklahoma has a super hard one. Yeah. And then you get to enjoy 2 years of potentially a really, really soft conference schedule or be punished with 2 years of a slaughterhouse.
Right. I think today was a massive W for the SEC. I think, the SEC metaphorically planted their flag in center field. I'm sure you're familiar with that, Sean.
No. We don't allow any planting of flags. Okay, we defend our turf there.
That's fair.
We defend the middle of the field. The end zone's not as much, but
that's true. What the SEC was always wanting was they wanted strength of schedule and strength of record to take into account. I don't think it's a coincidence. Literally yesterday, the committee announced we're changing it to where if you beat higher quality opponents, you'll be more rewarded. If you lose to lower quality opponents, you'll be punished. I don't think it's a coincidence that all happens, and then literally the next day the SEC changes it. Especially Greg Sankey saying,
"Hey, Darrell, that's real fascinating to comment. I definitely want to discuss that, but there was like a couple points you made at the beginning of your conversation with Jackson. I did kind of want to touch on real quick. Give my thoughts on. Okay, so first off, hats off to the SEC. Said that you had to it had to be kind of a negotiated hostage situation to get you to nine games, but it's great that they're at 9 games, and the additional stipulation of having a Power 4 game out of conference, that is really, really good in theory. I think in practice you might have some complications with it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for one thing, there's about 60. There might be some years where it's difficult. Some teams in these other conferences don't want to play anybody out of conference. These schedules are also set oftentimes years in advance. So it might not. There might be a few programs here and there that actually have trouble scheduling an additional out of conference Power Four team. Additionally, teams pull out of games. Teams decide not to play them, and then sometimes, like I forget, I don't remember exactly why they're playing Grambling, but it was because somebody pulled out this year. And I remember that they played Florida A&M about a decade ago because Vanderbilt pulled out of that game. Ohio State and Washington had to cancel their series last year, so Ohio State did not have a Power Four conference. Like, things arise in these schedulings, and I mean, I do appreciate the effort. I do like the fact that we're going to have more competitive out of conference games in the SEC, but I mean, there are extenuating circumstances that will complicate it, like guaranteed.
Yeah, I would have to see. I think the main reason they're doing it is because a quarter of the SEC is locked into a 10th one, no matter what, which should make it easier.
Yes.
So you can ignore a tenth of it. I don't know what you're going to do with the schools that don't have it locked in. I think a lot of them, like Alabama, are locked in with Ohio State going forward. I don't see that. They're not changing conference, for example. So I think some of them are locked in. I think for some of these lower schools, I hate to say it in a derogatory way, but you might have to do what you do with the G5 and FCS programs, and you might have to pay some of these lower classification P4 schools a little bit of money and give them some stipulations to play on the road.
They can't all play Wake Forest here, so it's there's only so many of them.
There's a conference called Big 12 that's full of them.
Well, gentlemen, before we get to that next point, we want to make sure we honor Caden the Diesel Freak's super chat for tonight, the $5 super chat, where he says, Jackson, it's going to be that bad, and I promise you Ohio State will be leaving dead bodies everywhere piled in their own blood.
Given what happened with a former Buckeye about a month or so ago, that's maybe not be the best timing for that analogy.
Yeah, but I will say, though, we appreciate the $5 super chat contribution. We appreciate it very much, good buddy. And you're talking about Kurt Barton. Yikes.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. It's like, good grief.
Yeah,
he's got some he's got some things he needs to work out.